It is Race Spec Esports. O stream. Wow, that actually uploaded a lot quicker than what I thought it was going to be. And I can hear myself, so the audio is working as it should. The stream's up, the chatter is up. We're all good to go. That was very quick, YouTube. Very un-YouTube of you. But hello and welcome everyone to round 12 of the PlayStation Pacific Tier 1 series here on Race Spec Esports. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and we're back. And this time we're at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. The 5.06 kilometer 23 turn racetrack is the home to the first ever night race in Formula One history back in 2008. This is also the home to the longest race in terms of time on the calendar. It's a proper endurance test with the driver's mental strength and consistency being put to the challenge. There are 2 overtaking spots on the circuit heading into turns 1 and 7 with the help of DRS. There's also a DRS zone before turn 14, but the corner doesn't really lend itself to overtaking. It's going to be a long slog for not only the drivers, but also for me in the commentary box. It's going to be even longer if the game decides to die and the lobby is broken, or if it decides to rain during the race, or both, if it's feeling really generous tonight. But hopefully we get through all that and enjoy a long night of racing. But first, a little bit of news from last week. No penalties handed out by the stewards for the race at Mexico, so the results stand. Looking in the Drivers' Championship, GeForce Crichton still leading the way on 244 points, followed by Spilly on 180, 64 points separating the two in the championship, followed by Jax in P3. And we've got Leo in 4th place, with he and Jax only separated by 11 points, so it's pretty close in the championship between those two. And we've got Spicy rounding out the top 5. GeForce Ford is in P6. He's absent due to his end-of-year studies. He won't be participating here in Singapore. In his place, we'll have Hilles, a driver from the Elite Series, hopping over to Pacific Tier 1. Quite a quick driver. He's in the Aston Martin for tonight. Got Wogboy in P7, Scotty P8, Blanchard, who is absent, in P9, and players rounding out the top 10. Looking in the constructors, Mercedes are leading the way on 296 points, followed by Aston Martin on 272. So it's a 24-point race between the top 2 in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari aren't too far behind on 239. 4th place is McLaren, followed by Williams. Those 2 teams only separated by 3 points in the Constructors' Championship. Then we've got AlphaTauri, Alpine, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, and then Haas. But that's it in terms of news. We can now focus on the all-important qualifying session here at Singapore. Hello Ferrari Pro, and hello KD, and thank you very much. So we'll have a dry qualifying, so we won't have any wet weather interference here, but according to Ferrari Pro, we'll have rain roughly about 30 minutes into the race, which is spectacular news, because wet weather races are great, aren't they? It's going to be a long night, but hopefully we see a fairly entertaining qualifying session. Typically is around here at Singapore. It's quite a demanding lap. There's a lot for the driver to look out for. Hiller's coming out to turn 7, then around turn 8. This section doesn't offer much. You just have to get on the throttle at the right time. Not too early, so then you spin out into the barrier, but not too late, as to not lose too much time. Through the Singapore Sling. Used to be quite the notorious chicane on its original layout. It's been simplified and significantly improved when it was redesigned in 2013. Down the 3rd and final DRS straight towards turn 14. This is a corner I mentioned earlier. It's quite tight, but the corner doesn't lend itself to any sort of overtaking unless the car behind is right behind the car in front's gearbox, or at the very least alongside the car in front. It's a really, really tough corner to pass. Here in the final sector, There's nothing that really lends itself to racing either. Coming around the final 2 corners on the racetrack, turns 22 and 23. Very easy to spin out through that section as Gilles goes second fastest with a 37.1. He's a second off Bags Liddell, which isn't too bad. The medium tyre is a bit slower compared to the soft tyre around here. Wogboy on the soft rubber, making his way over the Anderson Bridge and around the hairpin. It's sad to not see you here, Bailey, but, well, enjoy your studies, if you can. And, that's right. You mentioned that earlier in the Discord, Spilly, that you have a bit of a scuffed controller. Well, best of luck on it. Yeah. You'll be right, Spilly, you'll be right. You'll find a way around it, hopefully. Swaggy jumps to the top of the table with a 35.6. Oh, and that's a spinning wall boy going into the barrier. Oh, that's not good. Demonstrating the Ferrari's ability to spontaneously turn itself into a Beyblade. Wall boy smashing his front wing, going back into the pits. But fortunately, there's still a lot of time left in qualifying to set a flying lap. Another driver who is reserving is, I believe reserving anyway, is Ferrari Pro in an Alpine, which is definitely not a Ferrari, last time I checked. But I'm sure Ferrari Pro will do his best in that car. And I think we have one more. That's right, Tinselman in the Red Bull. He is in for Blocky Rex, who I believe has left the server, if I recall. So I believe he might be taking that full-time seat. Will substituting in as well, and that is someone in the wall. That's Billy. He said he had a scuff controller, and it's fairly evident. Needs to be... Ooh, yeah, you can see with the inputs. It's not great. Crichton jumps to the top of the table with a 35 flat. That is a quick lap time, my goodness. Jax has invalidated. He'll be coming into the pits, he's low on fuel. Is that Kush on a flying lap, heading towards the second sector split? Clock says he's done a 1 minute 6.4. Yeah, don't be afraid to make yourself known in the chat. Always happy to talk. As Izzad is making his way through the final sector, through turns 20 and 21, underneath a highway overpass, goes over the circuit and into the pits he comes. Oh, and overshooting the pits as well. Very easy to do. It's quite an awkward pit entry, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a few drivers speed into the pits as well. Only 60 kilometers an hour. It comes at you pretty quickly. The speed limiter line can catch you out unawares. Ferrari Pro isn't using any battery, so he's not on a proper flying lap. Bernardi Berger on an outlap, Wogboy on an outlap too. Let's see who else. Plevs is back into the pits. Crichton will be going back into the pits as well. Scotty finishing a flying lap. Had a podium back in Hungary. Qualifying P6 at the moment. That's pretty solid from the AlphaTauri driver. We've still got a lot of cars to set a lap time though. Smelly was very sideways there, coming out of turn 12. He's coming around turn 13. The hairpin. Opens DRS. Down towards turn 14. Slams on the anchors. Gets round turn 14. Oh. Almost into the wall. Coming around into the third sector with its cascade of 90-degree corners. Basically through here you have to try and cut as much as you can without invalidating to then maximize as much speed through the corners. Spilly will cross the line and go P9 with a 37.3, currently 2.3 seconds off the pace of pole position. Leo's about to start a flying lap. G-Force Wogboy has invalidated. Minardi Berger is heading towards the Singapore Sling. Got Tinselman just in front, who's on an outlap. he doesn't really get out of the way of Minardi Berger here, who is on a flying lap. Yeah, this isn't great. Does Tinselman just not know he's there? What's going on? And then he gets out of the way. Well, last minute, you can see there Berger weaving, showing off his frustration. He'd be quite angry about that. I certainly would be, being held up for that long. Jack, you're about to start a flying lap on the medium tyre as well. Let's take you on a tour of this 5-kilometre racetrack here in Singapore. Coming out to the final corner, down the pit straight we go. Brings it up into 8th gear, entering at 303 kilometres an hour into turn 1, through turn 2, then into turn 3. Nice and steady, easy on the throttle, find the traction, then plant the accelerator. Coming up to turn 5, I forgot to mention that little left-hand kink. After turn 3, yeah, that's turn 4 apparently, according to the track map. Around turn 6, up towards turn 7, probably the best overtaking spot on the circuit. 3rd gear, short shifting to 4th on the exit. Around turn 8, keeps it in 3rd gear, short shifting to 4th. Again, just to keep the traction. Make sure he doesn't get too much wheel spin at corner exit. Up towards the Singapore sling, brings it down to 4th gear. Up towards the chicane, turn 11, then turn 12. Over the Anderson Bridge into the hairpin of turn 13. 1st gear, short shifting to 3rd. Up through the gears with DRS open. Towards turn 14. Gets on the brakes, brings it down to 3rd again. 3rd gear is obviously his favourite gear around the circuit. Gives him nice stability out of the corners and just enough rotation to get around them. Underneath the spectator grandstand. Around turn 19. Around turns 20 and 21. Underneath the highway overpass. Then 2 corners remain, turns 22 and 23. Keeps it in 6th gear. Very nice and quick around there. And have a go at that. Jax goes 2nd quickest with a 1:35.434. That was a very tidy lap there from Jax. Pat on the back for him. That was superb. Swaggy, I think, is getting ready to set a flying lap. He's not on an out lap, but he's not using any battery. He's on 100%. Comes around the final 2 corners. Goes down the pit straight towards turn 1. Similar entry speed to Jax as Spicy jumps up to 2nd place with a 35.3. 3/10 off Crichton. And Swaggy has invalidated his lap through that opening complex. So he's bailed out of the lap. Plebs, he's bailing out of his as well, going into the pits. G4 Zach, you on a flying lap? No, you're not. Not on a flying lap. Don't think Tinselman is either. Low on battery. Not low on battery. Low on fuel, I should say. Let's see here. Is that on a flying lap? Coming around turn 9. Then down towards turn 10. The Singapore sling. I remember last season in Race Spec, G4 Swaggy threw a race win away at that very section. He turned in too early for the left-hander. Clipped his inside wheel into the inside wall, which spat him out to the outside wall. And he was out of the race. He had a very healthy lead too. Is that Kush now making his way through the 3rd sector? Oh, he's invalidated as Crichton improves to set a 34.8. He's the first driver into the 34s. BP is making his way towards the finish line. Comes around the final 2 corner, really chucks it in there at turn 22. 5th fastest. He'd be pretty happy with that. Only 3/10 off Jax on the same tyre. So he's looking to start inside the top 10 on the mediums. Badge getting ready to set a flying lap. So is Spilly. Doing his best with his controller. Is that on a flying lap, it seems. That's BPV8. He'll get out of the way. He set a flying lap earlier. Around turn 7, Swaggy has left the session. That's not good. Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin soon. Exiting turn 8. Up and around turn 9. 4th gear, nice and steady on the accelerator on the exit. Up towards the Singapore sling. 4th gear, nice and gentle, keeping it just within the white lines. Sideways though, at turn 11. Coming around turn 13. That opens DRS down towards turn 14. Gets on the anchors. Gets it around 14 nicely. Brings it back up through the gears around turn 15. Then into 16 and 17. Cutting as much as he can. Too much there. Cutting way too much. You can see there weaving about. He's frustrated. Again, I would be too. Made the exact same mistake earlier in qualifying. Now Crichton, I think his session is done. Menardiberger's session is done. Is that facing... Oh no, he's just pulled off to the side. I thought he was facing the wrong way. Menardiberger is out. See if we can't... No, that's not the right Ferrari. This will be the right Ferrari. So there he is there. So lost control, coming out to turn 3, hitting the left-hand side barrier. So that's it for Menardiberger. Not setting a lap time in qualifying. We don't have a lot of time left. These fellas better get a move on. There goes... Oh, Jax doesn't know. Both McLarens are on out laps. Neither of them are on flying laps. They really need to get a move on. The lap here is very long. Bags goes 5th quickest with a 35.6. Let's see here. Scroll down. Spilly's up by 6/10 in the 2nd sector. Someone has retired. It's Crichton. He's retired in the pit lane. So his session is done. That is the target to beat. A 34.8. See? Oh, and into the wall goes Spilly, brushing the wall there. Oh, a lot of understeer. We're going underneath the grandstand. Another brief brush with the wall. 2 corners remain for Spilly. Oh, wide again and invalidates. He wouldn't have improved anyway. Is that low on fuel? Low with battery. This time doesn't invalidate. At turn 17, Leo has retired out of qualifying. Retired on track. Comes through the chicane. 2 corners left. Is that Kush? Gets around them. Doesn't invalidate. Up towards the line. It's a 35.7. 7th quickest for Izzat at their home race. G4 Zach getting ready to set a flying lap. Will just in front as well. Drivers just trying to give each other enough space so they don't affect each other too much. Ferrari Pro making his way out of turn 3, around turn 4, then turn 5. Scotty coming towards the Singapore sling on the medium tyres as well. See if he can improve in any way, shape or form. Let's see. Wogboy coming towards the end of his lap. He's well down, so he's not improving. Plebs is down by 26 thousandths of a second in the 1st sector. His teammates just crossed through the 2nd sector and is apparently purple. Spicy needs to improve by half a second if he wants pole position. So it needs to be a mammoth final sector. There is a car in front of him though. Oh, and that was a brief brush with the barrier. Underneath the grandstand, it is Scotty in the AlphaTauri. Around turns 20 and 21. 2 corners remain. He needs to really send it here. Chucks it in. Comes around the final corner, crosses the line. It's not enough. It's P2 for now. Jax, he's up by a 10th in the middle sector. He too has a car in front. That is Ferrari Pro, who is currently 14th. Sideways. around the final 2 corners. Up towards the line. It's P2 for Jax on the medium tyre. What a lap. A 1:35.196. He will start on the front row. Then it'll be an all McLaren second row at this stage. Is that his session is done. And I'm pretty sure that's qualifying over. Yes, Zach is pulling into the pit lane. So it will be Crichton on pole. But the man who was starting alongside him is starting on the mediums. And there's going to be rain, according to Ferrari Pro, about 30 minutes into the race. So who's made the right call in terms of starting on what tyre? There we are. Certainly a very interesting qualifying. A lot happened. It's very difficult to keep track of. How about this? So, we got Jax, BP, Izzat, and Wogboy. Those drivers inside the top 10 will be starting on the mediums. Everyone else, Crichton, Spicy, Plebs, they'll all be starting on the soft tyre. Who's made the right call? But here we are, the results from qualifying. Just over 3.5 tenths separating the top 2. But considering Jax is on the inferior compound, that is some effort from him. I'm sure Crichton will be quite happy with pole position. The only driver in the 34s. Spicy P5 with Plebs P5. Spicy P3, Plebs P4, an all McLaren second row, followed by Swaggy, Bags, BP, Izzat, Wogboy, then Zach, rounding out the top 10. And we've got Will, Leo, Tinselman, Ferrari Pro, Scotty, Hilles, Spilly, Macedonian, and Minardi Berger not setting a lap time in qualifying. He'll be starting from the back of the grid in 19th. And there we are. Lots of fun. Lining up onto the grid now. One of the things that really suck about nighttime racing, difficult to tell how overcast it is. Really difficult to tell. Be interesting to see when the wet weather comes. The drivers will have a far better idea compared to us here watching. But it'll be interesting to see who made the right choice for those inside the top 10, whether they are better off starting on the soft tyre or starting on the medium tyre. Drivers will set off on their formation lap. Let's have a look at what the drivers outside the top 10 doing. Well, I can tell you one thing, none of them are starting on the soft tyre. So we got Crichton, P1 on the softs. He'll have Jax alongside on the mediums. We've got Spicy and P3 on the soft tyre, same with his teammate Plebs. Zach has been disqualified from the formation lap, so his tyres will be stone cold for the start. We've got Swaggy and P5 on the soft, same with Bags and P6. And we've got BPV8, who's been on fairly solid form as of late, starting on the medium tyre, same with Izzat. And we've got Wogboy and P9 on the mediums. Zach, who got disqualified earlier, starts P10 on the softs. Then we've got Will, the first driver outside the top 10 in P11, starting on the mediums. Leo, P12 on the hard tyre. Very, very interesting. I thought maybe the mediums, but no. The hard tyre. I expected the likes of Macedonian and Minardi Berger to go onto the hard tyre. But Leo, gamble, see if it pays off. Tinselman, P13 on the mediums, same with Ferrari Pro in P14. Scotty, P15 on the hard tyre. Then we got Hilles and Spilly on the mediums. Then we got Macedonian and Minardi Berger on the hard tyre. So we've got 4 drivers on the hard compound. We've got 9 drivers on the mediums. And then a total of 6 drivers on the softs. So a fairly diverse field when it comes to strategy. Be very, very interesting to see who gets it right. But not at a track like this, it's not just about getting it right. It's also keeping out of trouble. It's very difficult to do on the street circuit. It's very difficult to keep out of trouble in a race that is this long. Minimizing mistakes, more importantly, minimizing damage is going to be key to success here in Singapore. Leaders are lining up, getting ready to race. Crichton on the racing line, on pole position. Jack's alongside, but with the inside line. If he can nail the start, he might be leading into turn 1. Everyone's lined up and ready to race here at Singapore. We got 5 red lights, and we are underway here in Singapore, and what a start from Crichton. Leads the field very comfortably into turn 1, 3 wide through the opening corner for a few drivers. Oh, and I think someone might have spun out in the background. It must be G-Force Zach. He is well behind, down in 19th place. Those cold tyres, probably the ultimate cause of that. Down through the flat-out right-hander of turn 6, side by side here, Izzat and Bags, heading down towards turn 7. Bags with the inside line, forcing the issue, spinning! Losing a bunch of places in the process. Drivers in front going into turn 8, 2 by 2. Scotty being cramped and Will's out of the race. There he is there, into the outside barrier, I should say. Oh, and Zach drove through him. Okay then. And we have a virtual safety car. It's only taken one sector. We have our first virtual safety car. Probably not a bad thing. You can see here the Aston Martin pairing of Gilles and Spilly. They've made up 5 places each. Great start for both of them. Same with Tinselman in P8. He's made up 5 places too. But what a superb start from Crichton. Absolutely nailed it. He was leading by a healthy gap into turn 1. Jax maintains his second place. It's still a McLaren 3-4. Swaggy's still in P5. When are we going back on the green flag racing here, game? Surely it's not too far away. This is a very long virtual. Might take a full lap here. Midfielder getting ready. Bunching up, and we're back on the green flag racing. That was a extraordinarily long virtual safety car. Down towards the flat out right hander of turn 6 once again. Towards turn 7. Nothing major. A bit of a lock up there from one of the cars in front. Gilles gets by Leo. Overshoots turn 7 though. Towards turn 8, Leo doesn't fight back, stays behind Gilles for now. But a nice long train of cars forming here. Hopefully Gilles can claw his way onto the back of Wogboy. Coming over the Anderson Bridge. And around the hairpin, ooh, I thought Izzat might have been trying to look down the inside there. Certainly went into the hairpin very, very quick. Around turn 14. And everybody is behaving themselves after the first lap. Keeping mostly out of trouble. Gap between the top two, 7/10 of a second. Crichton hasn't been able to pull away from Jax. It is a bit of a problem for the Mercedes-Benz driver. Look at that, Jax sets fastest lap. Coming through the opening few corners with DRS now enabled. And Jax will have DRS here. He'll claw his way towards Crichton as quickly as he can. Crichton will desperately try to pull away. Everyone here will effectively have DRS heading towards turn 7. Someone locking up there. Saw that puff of smoke. Spilly getting by Leo. So Spilly into P11. Leo drops to 13th. So the Williams driver in a bit of strife there. Losing 2 positions. Through the Singapore sling. Through the chicane of 11 and 12. It's all single file here. Can't really make any sort of moves. Like with many street circuits, it's very tough to pass. Down towards turn 14. Oh, hello. Spilly, he's got Ferrari Pro for company. Through the 3rd sector. Ferrari Pro right on the back of him. Heading underneath the spectator grandstand. Now I'm going to assume the Ferrari Pro should be able to get by, and something's happened to Swaggy. He's going into the pits, is he? He is. Same with Spicy. They're both in after 4 laps. They're in. DRS wide open using overtake. Down towards turn 1. He looks. He didn't really commit to it there, Ferrari Pro. Spilly was able to hang around the outside. Zach is in the pits too. So Spicy on mediums. Same with Zach. Swaggy's on a set of hards. Opens DRS. Uses up overtake. Fairly simple move. One that you typically see here in Singapore. So Ferrari Pro is into 9th. But he was quite low on battery. And I think here in Singapore, it's not easy to get it back. Fairly tight group here between the 2 Red Bulls and Wogboy in P7. All following one another over the Anderson Bridge. Into the hairpin of 13. You can see there's quite the gap forming between Gilles and Ferrari Pro. It's going to be tough for those drivers from P9 downwards to claw their way towards the front. I think for those guys, they're more or less stuck in that train until a safety car happens. These fellas all following one another. Line astern through the 3rd sector. Really can't do much through here. And Crichton, he's going into the pits. So is Plevs. They're both going in. So they've done a total of 5 laps on those things. Or rather 4 laps, I should say. Starting lap 5. Yeah, qualifying on the soft tyre, not really paying off. Though they will be in clear-ish air. They do need to get the hammer down. Leo's clawing onto the back of Spilly. Tinselman looking down the inside of his teammate here. Gets it done into turn 7. Overcooks it a little bit. Izat tries to fight back. But Tinselman has the inside line. Covers off Izat Kush. He's into P3. Minardi Berger's overtaken Macedonian. Macedonian has clawed that position back. So these two had a brief exchange, ever so briefly. Ooh. Around the hairpin. Got the 2 Red Bulls, Wogboy and Gilles right on the back of it. Coming around turn 14. For some reason that engine sounded a bit glitchy. I have no idea why. Tinselman has pulled away from Izzat. So Tinselman doing a really good job. Very sideways there. Gilles losing a bit of time. Managed to gather it back up. Still more or less on the back of Wogboy, who is closing in on Isaac Kush. Can't get the move done just yet. Still right behind the Red Bull. Coming up to turn 5. Spicy sets fastest lap. Down in 14th place. He's just behind Crichton. Wogboy looking down the inside. A simple move. Into 4th place. And here comes Gilles. He is now on the gearbox of Izzat, Kush's Red Bull. Lovely aerial shot here, looking over the racetrack. Coming through the Singapore sling. Then around the hairpin, a big send there from Gilles. Gets it done. He's into P5. So Izzat might be in a better trouble. He hasn't shown a great deal of pace, which is very un-Izzat-like. Typically Izzat's quite quick, but he's getting chewed up here. And that doesn't help. 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. That really doesn't help. He's got Ferrari Pro closing in. And he's peeling into the pits, so yeah, as I feared. Does have some sort of damage. So looking at that front wing, it looks pretty okay. But obviously, according to the game, it is broken in some sort of fashion. So, I don't know. Crichton, Spicy setting fastest laps. They are flying. They're trying to close on to the back of this train of cars coming around turn 5. Being led by Spilly, and that's a yellow flag. That is Bags Liddell. He's had a moment. He's got a missing end plate as well. He has to do a full lap around the circuit with that damage. Won't feel great at all. Spilly being overtaken by both AlphaTauris there at turn 7. So Scotty and Macedonian are through. Do his best to keep up with the AlphaTauris. See if he can take those positions back. Gilles on the back of Wogboy now, closing in up towards turn 14. It's around corner nicely. Up and through the 3rd sector now. Just a cascade of 90-degree corners. You really just can't pass through here. Crichton's past Minardi. He's into 11th. He's got to make his way through the rest of the field now. It won't be easy. Spicy's done the same. Here comes Gilles. Opens DRS. Down towards turn 1. Not quite close enough to attack into turn 1. Oh, Spicy's dropped back down to 14th. In fact, he might be going into the pits. He is. So I think he's got damage from somewhere. He wouldn't be pitting in strategically. Front wing at the ready. You can see they're missing end plate on the car. Can Gilles go for it? The answer is no. He'll stay behind for now. Let's see a change of position here as Crichton goes through into 10th place. His next target will be Macedonian in 9th. Crichton on fresher tyres. Will be just so much quicker compared to just about everyone that surrounds him. Around turn 10. Didn't really cut too much. Oh, that's not good because Crichton is the host. What's happened? So is Crichton out of the session? What is it? What has happened? Hang on. This might be on my end. Maybe. I'm not sure. Spelly has gone into the pits. Lap 7. Ooh, that's not good to look at. No, those inputs look human to me. Ooh. No, those inputs look pretty human. There we go. Now Crichton's left the session. Righto. I just wasn't sure if I was disconnecting from the session because it looked like a few people were in AI. That's why I brought the telemetry up. One really easy way to tell if the car you're looking at is an AI car is looking at the brake and throttle inputs. They have this weird sort of spazzy input where it's sort of like on off on off on off very, very quickly with both brake and throttle inputs. It's their own sort of version of traction control. Yeah, that's definitely not good then for Crichton. The AI would be significantly slower compared to what he is. Isaac Kush has moved past Minardi Berger. Isaac is now into 14th place. He's trying to make up for lost ground after getting damage early on. Bags at the back, doing his best, and that's Minardi Berger out of the race. Crashing out at turn 14, and we have a safety car. So this gives us a bit of a reprieve to try and understand what just happened. There's Minardi Berger. He's basically gone straight on into that wall. Out of the race, our second retirement. Righto, I better check the Discord just to understand if anything is going on in there. Oh, no one said anything. So, everything must be fairly okay. I was just a fair bit concerned. Actually, no, we need that tyre graphic. Get rid of the interval. We don't need that anymore. With the safety car coming out. Isaac Kush has hopped onto the intermediate tyre. Has it started, Ren? It has. So you can see here on the halo and on the camera lens as well, it has started to rain. 10 laps in. So the rain has come out a bit quicker than what I anticipated. Spelly's on a fresh set of mediums. I don't know if he wanted to go for that. He's on mediums. What will the leaders do? How quickly will the track evolve? Because you can see there's already spray coming off the tyre. Look at that. It's been... Oh, and it's spinning! Into the wall goes Jax, our race leader. Oh, it's definitely not time for slicks. No, no, no. Get on the intermediates now. For sure. That's the clearest piece of evidence that it's time for intermediates. That spin. So in they come. Fortunately for Jack, he only lost one position. Could have been much worse. So into the pits comes Jack and BP. Tinselman is just behind. Front wing at the ready. Keep an eye on that Red Bull. Where is it? Tinselman, he's in the fast lane, I think. Nah, Jack comes out well in front. Well, actually, I think Tinselman had a front wing change too. Potentially. But everyone will be pitting in for intermediate tyres. Oh, why is it taking so long? It's good to see the double stack thing is still a thing in this game, because that will never be fixed. Macedonian into the pits, coming off the hard tyre. Leo will be doing the same in P11. Everyone will be coming in, no one will be staying out. And I think Leo got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Minardi Berger has left the session, fair enough. But I can't believe how quickly the track has evolved. It's been raining for maybe a total of 2 minutes. And already it's intermediate conditions. And that's soft tyres on Leo's car. That's not a great decision there, Leo. Maybe you got a pit lane glitch where he selected the intermediate tyre, but the team put him on slicks. I have seen that happen before. So he'll have to make another pit stop to put on the intermediate tyre. Svetli coming in to get on to the intermediates as well. But there we are. Almost as if it was a flick of a switch. It's intermediate conditions. Right. Let's see. We got 3 drivers with penalties already. Hillez, Izzat, Leo. 3 seconds each. Yep, all 3 of them have 3 seconds each. I would not be too surprised if we saw quite a few more penalties. I mean, we're not even at the halfway mark yet. Still got a lot of racing to get through, and now with the intermediate conditions it becomes that much harder for the drivers to get around the racetrack. The really unfortunate thing though with wet weather is that you don't see too much racing with these sort of conditions. Everybody just sort of backs off, doesn't want to push one another, which is completely understandable. Leo, he is crawling his way towards the pits. Here's a bit of dry track that will help him out, and he lit it up. You'll probably get a front wing change while he's at it. And in he goes. We'll have intermediate tyres selected and probably a new front wing. I think he will still come out in front of Spilly, though it might be close. There's his pit box. Intermediate tyres at the ready. New front wing going on the car. And away he leaves. And Leo will be behind Spilly. So down in 17th. These got a lot of catching up to do. He has to be very careful on these tyres as well. They won't be up to temperature. Needs to be nice and steady. Not make any mistakes. Righto. So everyone's on the Inter. Probably don't need the tyre graphic then. Can have a look at position change. See here, BP's up by 6 positions. Jax, qualified P2, is currently P2. Could have been leading if he didn't make that mistake just before he went into the pits, spinning out in the damp conditions. Got Tinselman in 3rd place, made up 10 spots over the course of the race. He'll be quite happy with his performance so far. Needs to keep it up. Wogboy, he'll be happy too. Up 5 positions in P4. Ferrari Pro in the Alpine, up 9 positions, same as Scotty and Hillez. All 3 of them have made up 9 positions. Plebs down 4, started 4th, currently 8th. Crichton, now is he behind the wheel of his car? No, he's not. And neither is Hillez. So he's not in his car. You can tell from the red cross of his name. So Hillez and Crichton are missing. Macedonian, he's here. He's in P10, up 8 positions. He'll be happy with that. I'm sure he'll be looking for a few more positions while he's at it. Izzat Kush. I know Izzat to be one of the better wet weather drivers in the Pacific region. Hopefully we'll get to see some of that in a few moments' time. Hilles, a 5-second penalty, severe collision with Plebs. That's the AI. Getting a severe collision penalty. Yeah, righto. Whatever. Spicy down 9 positions. Started 3rd, down in 12th. Got a fair bit of work to do to cut their way through traffic. Zach just behind in P13. Swaggy down 9 positions in 14th. Bags down 9 positions too. 9 is a very common number. Very common. We got 3 drivers who made up 9 positions. We got 3 drivers who have lost 9 positions. It is oddly very common. 2 drivers who've made up 8. Or rather, 1 driver who has made up 8. 1 driver who has lost 8. 1 driver who's made up 5 and 1 driver who has lost 5. 2 drivers who have lost 3. Very common numbers. Leo, he's on the back of the train now. So BP V8 will control the field. Everyone will be getting their tyres up to temperature. They don't want cold tyres for the restart, otherwise they'll be in big trouble. There's the virtual burn Maylander. That gorgeous looking Aston Martin. If only if it had a better front grille. And I think it would be almost perfect, but that front grille on the Aston makes it look like a catfish from some angles. And I don't think your car should look like that. Alright, BP, when do you take off? There he goes. Exiting the final corner. We begin lap 14 of 31 here at Singapore. Oh, and Hilles almost lost it. That would have been the AI of Hilles. Macedonian gets by into 8th place. He's fighting with the AI, I think. Unless that's not the AI. No, that's not the AI. He's in the session. Hilles, there's no longer a cross next to his name. Check the 1 yellow flag. That is GeForce Zach. Spun out at turn 3. He's down in 17th. BP has pulled away from the start. Here comes Tinselman. Fighting with Jackson to turn 7. They're side by side. Exiting the corner. Oh, Tinselman's forced off the circuit. He'll force the issue down the inside at turn 8. Jax tries to get the drive. Oh, he gets out in front. And Tinselman has to pull back into 3rd place. As a result of that battle, BP has pulled away. It's got a healthy little gap over Jax at the moment. Oh, hang on. Something's happened here. One of the cars is facing the wrong way. It's Hilles facing the wrong direction. He's backing the car up. We'll get it going soon. Coming towards turn 14. I like how I'm supposed to be looking at Spicy, yet the camera is looking right at Isaac Kush. That's amazing. Hopefully that's fixed by the time of the next update. Underneath the spectator grandstand, around turn 19. And turns 20 and 21, Isaac applying a lot of pressure. Coming up and around the final 2 corners on the racetrack. Our first proper lap in intermediate conditions. And we've had our fair share of drama with Zach spinning out. Same with Hilles at the Singapore Sling. But no retirements. We still have 17 cars in the race. I don't imagine we'll see too much action between these guys unless someone's got a really solid run. Yeah, Wogboy's not close enough. Maybe Izzat. Not even Izzat is close enough to try and make a move. We're stuck behind Spicy for now, hounding the back of the McLaren. Macedonian and Spilly side by side. Oh, almost spinning the car there, Spilly. Here comes Leo down the inside to take P11. Swaggy will try and follow through. No, he won't. He'll slot in behind. Coming through the Singapore Sling. Car doesn't look too fantastic, does it? Ooh. See Swaggy right up his trumpet, but he's just not able to go anywhere. Comes around turn 14, still stuck behind the Aston. Let's see. Is that still behind the McLaren of Spicy? Macedonian gets a 3-second time penalty. He's just in the back of shot. He's got Leo right on his gearbox. Jax is starting to close in on BP as well. The gap has shrunk back to 1 second between the two. So we might see a battle for the lead in a few moments. Spilly had a really big moment there at turn 21. And a bit of a moment there for Leo. Running wide there was Swaggy too at the final corner. Might have been a warning for Swaggy. It looked fairly wide. They're right behind. He can smell that gearbox oil coming off the AlphaTauri. He's that close. Oh, great traction. Look at that. Superb traction out to turn 5. They're side by side through turn 6. Oh, and wheel-to-wheel contact there into turn 7. Macedonian fights down the inside. They're side by side on the exit. Heading around turn 8. Leo gets it done into P10. That was all because he got superb traction out to turn 5 compared to Macedonian. He was able to get the drive, then just slingshot by, heading into the heavy braking zone of turn 7. It's really the only way you can pass. You have to sort of rely on other people making mistakes. Is that still applying pressure? Still working away at Spicy, trying to find a way past. He looks, he can't go for it though. Can't afford to brake late in these conditions. It's very easy to misjudge a braking zone and then go head first into a barrier. But this is a perfect demonstration of the nature of wet weather racing. It's just really, really tough. Around the final 2 corners. Sideways. Kept control of the car, which is the main thing. Locking up a little bit at the entry to turn 1 through turn 2. And around turn 3. See this Scotty at the front of the train, hanging on to P6, doing a good job there. Around turn 5. See, Izak gets drive, and Spicy had a bit of a wiggle. Izak using up his battery, sitting in the slipstream. What does Spicy do here? Stays on the racing line, and Izak goes for it down the inside. Oh, and you see there, Spicy had to turn out of the corner there to avoid Izak. Izak is through into 8th place. A really big send there. Fully committed to it. Fortunately, Spicy, he was very much on top of the situation, saw the car coming, made sure he avoided contact. Now Leo is clawing onto the back of this too, so we've got a 5-car train forming. Izak gets fairly nice drive out of the hairpin, using up his battery, heading towards turn 14, looks, sends it, big time, a big send. Pledge tries to get the switchback, tries to get the drive, but can't do it. Izak is into P7. How about that? 2 really, really big sends. Izak just managed to pull it up as well. Got the car rotated. And Plebs couldn't quite put the power down in time to try and make the switchback work. So Izak managed to hang on to P7. Swaggy's overtaken Macedonian as well. That was at turn 20, I believe, as well. That's an interesting place to make a move. Izak closing in on Scotty now. Coming through the opening section again. At the moment, Izak's the only person making moves. Swaggy, he's given himself a 3-second time penalty. Hilles is into the pits too. Uses up their battery, sitting in the slipstream. I don't think Izzat will be close enough to attack. Why have we got water on the lens? Distorts the viewing. That's really annoying. Looks down the inside here into turn 8. Scotty gives him room, but also gets a drive out to turn 8 and the inside line for turn 9. But Izzat gets the switchback done. Gets drive, uses up his battery, and through he goes into 6th place. Now there's a bit of a gap between Izzat and Ferrari Pro. Needs to close that up. Meanwhile, out in front, it is BP who is leading the way by 8/10 of a second over Jax. He's been steadily closing that margin as G4 Swaggy has left the session. Hopefully they'll be able to rejoin soon. Tinselman isn't too far behind either in 3rd place. Wogboy has lost a bit of time. He's 2.7 seconds behind the Red Bull. But he's in sort of his own little world. Bit of a gap to the car in front, but also a bit of a gap to the car behind, Ferrari Pro and P5. And Ferrari Pro, well, he's going to have his wing mirrors full of Red Bull in just a moment as Scotty is going in. The rain has stopped. You can see on the halo there's no raindrop, so Scotty, he's taking a gamble, and I like it. He'll probably chuck on the mediums. There they are, mediums out the ready. We saw how quickly the track evolved from dry to wet, or more accurately, dry to intermediate. Maybe the evolution will be equally as quick from intermediate to dry. So I really like this call from Scotty. We'll see if it pays off. He needs to be careful to not overdo it. But it's a really, really long lap. So it might be not too great here in the first sector, but perhaps the time when he reaches the 3rd sector, the track has evolved into a dry circuit. You can see already, visually, the track is quite dry. Look at it. There's no dry line, it's just all dry. Coming out of turn 14. Then around turns 15 and 16, Izzat's made his way past Ferrari Pro, but Ferrari Pro is fighting back. Can't quite hang on to the position though. Izzat is into 5th. What did the leaders do? Did they stay out? Do they pit in? Bring up the tyre graphic. BP is coming in. Ooh, might have crossed the white line there. Wogboy. Oh, I think he was trying to go in. He was very slow there at turn 22. Izzat's into the pits. So a few drivers staying out, a few drivers coming in. Bags has stayed out. Gonna do another lap. Doesn't want to do a double stack with his teammate. And there is DRS enabled. It's been enabled on this lap. Where's Scotty at? Keep an eye here. He was battling with the likes of Izzat Kush and Spicy. See if it's actually worked out for him. Not quite. He's lost a fair amount of time. Wow. He's well behind the likes of Leo and Spicy. I thought this would have worked quite well, but position-wise, not really. That's incredible. Quite surprised by that. Not going to lie, I am quite surprised by that. Couple of drivers on the soft side. Tinselman and Ferrari Pro are on the soft tyre. They'll have a hard time making it to the end. They can do it, but their tyres will be shot to all pieces. Good to see that bot is back in the chat as well. That's great. Ferrari Pro, a penalty, I'm pretty sure I saw there. 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Jax is applying a lot of pressure here. Had superb pace on these tyres. Demonstrated that in qualifying. Zach acting as quite the roadblock here. Stuck on the intermediate tyre. A bit of contact there between BP and Jax there. Around the final 2 corners. DRS open for BP and for Jax. There's Tinselman just behind on the soft tyre. Where does Wogboy come out? There goes Ferrari Pro and Isaac Kush. So by doing that 1 lap extra, Wogboy has lost a tremendous amount of places. Down in 8th, just in front of Scotty. Here we go. The RS open for Isaac Kush. Oh, had a bit of a lift there because he wasn't quite sure what Ferrari Pro was going to do there at turn 6. Just a bit of smart driving there from the Singaporean. But he's through into 4th. Down towards the Singapore sling. Plebs and Macedonian are having a scrap. And Spilly's just about going to get involved here. Down towards the sling. Side by side, it's tight, but they get through. Over the Anderson Bridge. And around the tight hairpin. DRS open. Down towards turn 14. Oh, it goes into the back of Macedonian there. That could be wing damage. Though visually his wing looks pretty okay. Oh, and Plev's just got a 3-second penalty. So has Tinselman. While setting fastest lap. So Tinselman is going quickly. Isaac Kush sets fastest lap now. That's beaten by Leo. So it's just showing that the track is evolving. Still. It's not completely dry yet. There's still a bit of dampness. Zach gets by Swaggy for P14. Plev's right behind Macedonian here. Trying to get by. BP still holding on to the lead from Jax. Doing a great job out in front. Here comes Plevs. Closes in. Looks to the inside. Oh, in contact there in the braking zone. Plev's moving over to open up the corner. And Isaac Kush is out of the race. Crashing out at the exit of turn 9, and we have a safety car. There he is there. Probably just lost the back end. Went and hit the left-hand side barrier. But how about that? That comeback charge through the field results in nothing for Izzat. But another safety car that will definitely spice things up here. Gives the soft drivers a bit of a reprieve. It'll be interesting to see what they do here. Whether they pit for new tyres or stay out. Find out. Into the pits goes Tinselman. And, actually no, Jax is going into the pits. Tinselman stays out. Jack is going in. He's going to put on soft tyres. He's going to come out behind Scotty. In front of Plebs. Where's the Ferrari? Oh no. Jax is going to be a lot further down. Down in 11th. Maybe 12th. Here comes Bags. No, not quite. So Jack's in a bit of trouble here. Down in 11th place. Gonna have to make up a lot of spots. It's a very interesting call to come in. I was expecting the soft runners, maybe. Because doing 11 laps on the soft tyre is a bit touch and go. But Oh, Jack's winning. Right. Okay. Cool. So he's down in 11th. Ah, oh, right. Yeah, quite right, ACW, with no one else pitting for soft tyres. Jack has just lost a whole heap of track position that he has to try and gather back. That won't be easy. And I agree, Mr. Crichton, that the game... Well, that's the perfect way to describe the game, really. Yeah, I saw your DM that you weren't able to rejoin. See, still in AI. Not great. But that's just the nature of the game, unfortunately. It's still quite broken. Right. So, how is this all going to pan out? I reckon everyone will be going to the end, even if we have another safety car. I think everyone will be going to the end. Let's have a look at penalties, just briefly. Tinselman, 3-second time penalty next to his name, same with Ferrari Pro and Leo in P4. Then we got Plebs, the next driver with 3 seconds, same with Macedonian and Spilly in P10. Bags with 3 seconds next to his name, Swaggy with 6, and Hilles at the back of the field in 16th, who was in the pit lane, with 6 seconds. Still got a few laps to go. So we've still got plenty of time for a few more drivers to get penalties. But those who don't, they're in a fairly nice position here. But still, they need to try and make their way towards the front. BP, on the other hand, he has to just try and hang on to the lead. Tinselman just behind is on the soft tyre. So they'll switch on pretty quickly on the restart, so he'll have a fair amount of grip straight away. Same deal with Ferrari Pro as he's on the soft tyre. Leo, the next car, is on a set of mediums. Similar age to BP. So. And we got Spicy in P5 on 6-lap-old mediums. He's got the oldest tyres out of anybody inside the top 10. Log Boyd 2-lap-old mediums, no penalties next to his name. So he's on relatively fresh tyres. You can try and push towards the front. Scotty, P7. Not sure if Scotty has the pace to try and challenge the front runners, but he'll definitely try and hang on to what he has right now. He'll definitely try and not get a penalty. He's quite good at that. Plevs, P8, Macedonian in 9th, so both AlphaTauris inside the top 10. We've got Spilly rounding out said top 10. And he'll take every point he can get for the sake of the Drivers' Championship. He and Crichton are locked in the battle for it, as Hilles gets another penalty, this time for speeding, as he retires out of the race. So he's had enough, which means everyone who finishes will score points. Remember, the top 15 score points here in Race Spec. Really unfortunate thing about Singapore. Because the laps are so long, safety car periods take forever. I think we've covered everything in terms of tyres, penalties, that sort of thing. There's not much more else to talk about until we go back under green flag racing. Get rid of the interval briefly, just to try and increase the viewing space. I really hope that Codemasters can add something in where you can change the size of some of the things here in the spectator point of view, because the leaderboard is just way too big. It is just huge. If I could shrink that just a little bit, I'll keep some of the other stuff up more often, but it's just because it's so massive. I have to switch some of the things off just to increase the viewing space. Rightio, VP. When are you going to take off? Safety car is back into its natural habitat. BP sets off. Oh, a bit of a wiggle there at the second last turn. Here we go, down the pitch straight towards turn 1. That's tied between Leo and Ferrari Pro. They're side by side through turn 1. BP gets a penalty. His first for the night. So he's got 3 seconds now, and Leo is into second. So Tinselman down to 4th now. Spicy, out of nowhere, is into 3rd. Through turn 5, down towards turn 6. See, I think that's Macedonian there, who was out of line there at turn 5. Down towards turn 7. Tinselman right on the back of the McLaren here. Trying to look down the inside. Can't really send it though. Can't get it done. Midfield trying to make their way through. Plebs, he's got Scotty right behind. Plebs trying to hang on to that P7, and he does. Svelli and Bags exchanging positions just ever so briefly at the Singapore Sling, coming up towards the hairpin. Oh, Scotty had to take avoiding action there, just broke a little bit too deep, but he hangs on to P8. It's a drag race between him and Jax towards turn 14. Ferrari goes round the outside and gets it done into P8. Making their way through the 3rd sector now. Jax really needs to get a move on. Needs to pass as many cars as he can. You're seeing his desperation there, very sideways, and Leo is out, crashing out at turn 21. And we have a safety car. Typically you don't see this. Usually on the restart lap, you don't see, if there's an accident, you don't see another safety car come out. But we got a safety car. Right. Another brief pause to this race. Oh, don't speak too soon, ACW. Still got a lot of racing to get through. Anything can happen. No one's won until we see the checkered flag. G4 Swaggy proved that last season. Leading by miles here at Singapore. And he crashed. This very corner coming up. Hit that inside wall. Catapulted into the Rolex signage on the outside. And he was out of the race. He had a huge lead and everything. So, wait and see. Let's have a look at the penalties, because they will play a massive part in this now. So BP, our race leader, with 3 seconds. Spicy with none. Tinselman with 3. Ferrari Pro with 3. Wogboy with none. Plebs with 3 seconds in P6. Jax with none on fresh soft tyres as well. He'll be flying towards the checkered flag. From here to the checkered flag. Scotty in P8 with no pens. Macedonian in 9th. Spilly 10th place with 3 seconds. Same with Macedonian. Bags in 11th with 3 seconds. And the 2 Benzes. Well, I should really say 1 Benz because Crichton isn't in that car. And Swaggy. That's not Swaggy. That's the AI of Swaggy. So we've actually got 12 cars still in the race then. Bags goes into the pits. Righto. So he'll be hopping onto the soft tyre then. And absolutely sending it from the safety car restart to the checkered flag. On they go. Away he leaves. Should be able to catch up by the end of the lap. Hopefully we'll go back on the green flag racing at the beginning of lap 29. In which case we'll have 3 laps to sort this all out. Get rid of the interval again. Bring it back. And we go back under racing conditions. At this stage, almost anybody could win this. We have a big enough accident. Somebody falls their way through. Even someone towards the midfield, even towards the back, could end up winning this race. We'll just have to wait and see. Bags is caught up to the back of the train, so the safety car should be in this lap. There it goes. The lights are out. The Aston Martin safety car will take off. And BP will control the field. See their drivers warming up their tyres. Make sure they're ready for the safety car restart because everybody is going to send it. With only 3 laps to sort this out. Coming around turn 21. We've seen BP V8. He always takes off at turn 22. He'll likely do the same. He does. He sets off. We begin lap 29 of 31. And Tinselman's out of the race colossally. He's had a massive accident at the final corner. Tinselman is out of the race. We're down to 11 cars. If you don't count Crichton and Swaggy, who are just AI cars. Coming up and around turn 5. BP trying to pull away as best he can. The gap increases to 1 second. Jax is through into 5th place. His next target is his teammate in P4. Coming around turn 7. Up and around turn 8. Look at Scotty, the big send. They're side by side. Plebs hangs on to P6. Spilly looking down the inside now. Can't get that done. But Spilly up 2 positions from that restart. He was P10, now P8. Look at him going round the outside into turn 11. Can't force it down the inside there. Just slots in behind. Probably a sensible thing to do. Into the hairpin. Oh, it's really, really close. Really bunched up. Everybody gets through. Relatively one piece. Down towards turn 14. Nobody going for any big send just yet. Still got a few laps to get through. Here comes Jax. Oh, he was looking. He's desperate to get by. He could win this, Jax, if he can get a move on. There's Spicy in the McLaren. That's probably his target. Get past that McLaren. Here we go, down the pit straight towards turn 1. Wogboy looking down the inside, can't commit to the move. Jax has to back off just a little bit. Scotty had to look down the inside, couldn't commit to a move though. He's still fighting, still on the back of the McLaren of Plevs. Stays behind for now. Oh, and Spilly's looking aggressive. Jax gets by his teammate Wogboy. He's into 4th place. Closing in on the Alpine. A Ferrari Pro trying to get by. Spilly and Macedonian. Why isn't it? I was going to say the camera's not looking at them for some reason. Spilly with the inside line. Bags forcing the issue down the inside there at turn 8. But can't get the drive out of the corner. Stays in P10 for now. Scotty still applying pressure here down towards the Singapore Sling. 2 tenths separating the two cars as they go through the chicane of 11 and 12. And over the Anderson Bridge, will Scotty send it into the hairpin perhaps? No, he will stay behind. Jax, he's alongside the Alpine of Ferrari Pro. Gets a switchback, tries to look down the inside, but Ferrari Pro covers. Exiting the corner. Jax tries to get the drive, but the Alpine's in the way. Looking down the inside, a big send here at 16. Oh, they make contact through 17. And Jax is through into 3rd. He's got a 2-second margin to claw back though to Spicy. He's currently in 2nd place. He needs to get the hammer down and absolutely send it as Scotty gets a 3-second time penalty. Spicy's on the back of BP here. It's the final lap, lap 31 of 31 here at Singapore. Through the opening few corners come the top 2, with Jax flying in P3, closing the gap at a rapid rate of knots. Coming around turn 5, Spicy will have DRS. He should be able to get by relatively easily here. Down and around turn 6. What will he do? Look to the inside. Doesn't go for the move. He stays behind. Jax cutting, running wide as much as he can without getting a warning. The gap has shrunk to 7 tenths of a second. Around turn 9, Spicy is right behind BP. BP doing Jax a massive favour here. With a few people battling behind Macedonian and Bags side by side there at turn 9. Macedonian gets the drive. Bags gets the drive as Jax gets a 3-second time penalty. That will decide the race unless Spicy gets a penalty himself. What a costly mistake from the Ferrari driver who has the inside line at turn 14. Forces Spicy a bit wide there. He's into 2nd place. Into the final sector now. One more sector to negotiate. BP still leading. But the top 2 have 3-second time penalties, and 3rd and 4th are right there. 2 corners remain. Come around the final 2 turns up towards the line. BP will cross the line in 1st, but it will be Spicy who takes his 1st win of the season. Wogboy will finish in 2nd place. BP will round out the podium in 3rd. There we are. Ferrari Pro given driver of the day. Oh, podium celebrations. Well done, Spicy. Claiming the top step of the podium today. Wogboy, he'll be happy with a podium finish. About time. And BP, he'll complete the podium in 3rd place. Cross the line in 1st, but those 3 seconds pushed him back. But I'm sure he's quite happy to finish on the podium in 3rd place. Let's have a look at the rest of the field. Jax, it could have been a win, but a penalty on the final lap ultimately leaves him in 4th place. Provisionally, of course, this is left up to the stewards if Jack can get a warning or 2 removed after the race. He might be able to jump himself up, but for now it's P4. Ferrari Pro from 14th to 5th. That's a solid effort here at Singapore. Clearly driver of the day performance there. Zach in P6, he'd be very happy with that, considering where he was at one point. He'd be very happy with 6. Scotty in 7th, Plebs in 8th, Bags in 9th, Macedonian rounds out the top 10. Then we have Spilly, our final proper finisher, with Crichton and Swaggy being AI. We've had a lot of retirements in this one. A lot of retirements. If you include drivers dropping out, it's 8. That's a lot. But you do kind of expect that here at Singapore. Oh. Well then, that was a lot of talking at the end. A lot of stuff happening. And we're going to do a bit more chatter. I'll invite the top 3 in for a chat. Though I don't know about Seb. Does he do interviews? I'll invite him anyway, see if he joins. Pretty sure Seb does interviews. I'm pretty sure. But I'll be back. I'll invite these 3 in. Dum da dum da dum. Whew. Oh, come on, friends list, work with me, please. There's Spicy. Dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. I mustn't have BPV8 as a friend. I'll add these 2 in. I'll just double check BP's username just ever so briefly. I thought I spelt it right, but I don't think I did. Hello, Seb. How are you? It's finally arrived. Just want to double check with you as well that your party audio settings are on always allow. Okay, dog. Okay, just double checking. I've been notified this is your first win in Pacific Series.
Hey fam, that's why I said it's a long time coming.
Really?
It's been oh
my god.
over a long time. But
I swear I've seen you. Oh, might have been maybe it wasn't here. I swear I've seen. Oh, well there you
definitely
go.
won in other things, but I don't know. Pacific Series it's been the thing that's
An anomaly. Just haven't been able to claim that top spot. Well, now you have.
yeah, that's partially the reason why I come back for this season. I missed most of the last season and then decided to come back because I wasn't done. I wanted to come in and get a win.
How was this race?
Well done it.
How was this race for you here at Singapore? How was it?
Long.
No,
Very long.
Yeah, fair.
Qualifying went well. Sort of a bit surprised with the pace that Jack's had on the mediums. But always knew that wasn't much pace difference between the mediums and the softs in terms of quali. But yeah, managed that. Trucked along on the first stint. Knew I needed to come in early because those softs die relatively quickly.
They disappear.
Pretty shocking tyre. And then, yeah, that middle stint ended up undercutting my teammate, which was the plan. Executed well, and then chucked along behind Zach for a bit, and then as I was trying to pass a lapped car, got wing damage. And to come in and that sort of thrown, well, wasn't happy. I thought my race was done then on, and then now I'm here with, I don't know how many safety cars there were. 500,000 apparently.
3, I think, maybe?
And a VSC.
And a VSC right at the beginning.
Yeah, I lost count.
How was it in the intermediate conditions, though, at Singapore?
Yeah, it was pretty slippery. Partially because for Singapore, because tyre temps are so high, I have to end up running my tyre pressures down lower, and that sort of just doesn't get the temp into the wets that you want.
Yeah.
And you're constantly sliding around on cold tyres.
Yeah.
And then it's a blessing in disguise when it started drying up, and my teammate went that one lap longer, and I come in instead of him. I was always going to do the opposite of what Matt done, but
yeah,
obviously the result speaks for itself.
Oh, absolutely. And it's also you kept it within the white lines as well. How many warnings did you have over the course of this one?
I had one warning for track limits, and then I think one for a collision with someone.
Oh yeah, right.
Early, but yeah, one. But I knew late in the race when people around me had penalties, and I didn't. I just had to sort of sit pretty. But when Jax was coming up on the back of me on the softs, it was a bit spooky.
He was flying. Holy cow!
And then I looked up and he had 3 seconds, and I thought, okay, there's no point doing damage to my race trying to race him.
Yeah, I saw you. Didn't really put up too much of a fight there, heading out of 13 into 14. Just sort of let him go, which is probably the sensible thing to do in that sort of situation. But as we mentioned, this is your first win. What does it mean for you finally? Is it just a whole heap of relief?
Honestly, I was looking at, obviously next season I probably wasn't going to come back. I'm probably more focused on iRacing at the moment. Been playing too much of it.
Fair enough.
And yeah, next season I'm probably not going to come back, or I might come back, race a couple on next year's F1 game and muck around, but honestly going to finish off this season. Obviously the win sort of makes it feel like a success, and
nice sort of way to wrap up your
exactly.
F1 career and move on to iRacing. But no, congratulations, man, on your first victory in the series. I did not know that. I knew this was your first win this season, but out of all the seasons, that is a long time coming.
So it's been a while.
5 seasons in the making, and it came here at Singapore.
Yeah, honestly, if there was one circuit I wanted more than this, would have been Monaco. But another straight circuit. I love straight circuits. It just sort of shows which drivers can perform in the moment. And
because of the technical challenge that they provide.
Exactly. And being Singapore, being the longest race and probably one of the most difficult.
Absolutely. It's a great endurance test for any driver. A great test of...
It's right mouth now, so then it guzzles down some water.
But, no, congratulations on your first win in Race Spec. Really well deserved. After all these seasons of participating, you finally did it. So, well done.
Yeah, can't get the grin off my face, honestly.
But has Walkboy and BP joined us or not?
Don't believe so.
I'm pretty sure I sent those 2 invites. Well, Walkboy isn't exactly the most chatty person in the world, but I would assume he'd be pretty happy with his first podium finish of the season.
I reckon he's definitely happy with the result.
Yeah, I think he would be too. He's been searching for a result, and he hasn't really got it, and he's finally got it. And BP's been on superb form recently in a few tiers. He's been very, very quick, so he'll be happy that he crossed the line in first, but also still finished on the podium, even with the penalties applied. So I reckon both of those chaps will be very happy. Not quite as happy as you, as I think. So, but I think those 2 not joining us, we could probably wrap up the stream. Certainly a long race here at Singapore, as it always is, but we had a fair bit of drama all the way through. It was very interesting to watch, and of course the final lap battles that we witnessed really spiced things up, and in the end, Spicy ended up winning, taking his first ever win here in Race Spec Esports. But yes, with everything finally over, it's time for us to end the stream. Tune in throughout the week as we still have plenty of racing to take place here on Race Spec Esports, but for the Pacific Tier 1 series, we'll have to wait until next Tuesday. Until then, I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you for round 13 at Baku City Circuit for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Hope to see you all there, but until then, it's goodbye.